back to Ticker Insight. I'm your host, Mike Loder, and to our latest story for the moment. And Living Human is a self-help memoir/hybrid book written by author Flic Manning, released amid Melbourne's lockdowns. It has been referred to as a story of profound hope and resilience. And Flic is here today to talk about why the stories of people like her with chronic health conditions are even more relevant today than they were a year ago. Flic, thank you so much for joining me in the studio as always.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being here.
Now, let's talk a little bit about this. What's it all about? Run us through it.
Sure. So Living Human is really, my story about having to try and navigate the world of invisible illness and chronic disability in a world that's not designed for people like me at all. And it's me really mining for the nuggets of wisdom that I've gained over the years, all the exploration, all the things that I've tried to devise sustainable strategies for coping for people like me, but also to hopefully create some allyship with people that are able-bodied too.
Absolutely. Awesome. So why did you feel the need to write your story? And I suppose I'm interested as well as what you discovered along the way. It's a really intimate process to jump into.
Absolutely. It's a very full-on experience writing anything, but particularly a memoir. Very emotional experience. And I really felt the need to write my story because it became very obvious to me quickly when I went from able-bodied to disabled that, the healthcare system, our governments, our societies widely are very quick to actually dehumanize people like myself and to equate us with having less value, of being burdens, people that should not be seen or heard from, people that should be spoken for rather than having a voice themselves. And so I really wanted to reclaim my humanity in sharing my story, but I also wanted to share some of that wisdom that I have actually uncovered, the things I have learned about resilience, strength, bravery and courage, about how our human form actually works best. And I really wanted to share with able-bodied people that they need people like us to be in their community because it actually improves their well-being as well as our own.
Well, let's touch on that a little bit further. Why do you think able-bodied people care about chronic illnesses and invisible conditions like yours, and why should they? Yeah, well, they should really care about conditions like ours because first and foremost, we're human beings just like they are. Correct.
And we really need to move away from that dehumanized, devalued thinking that, was still prevalent even 30 or 40 years ago when people like myself were being institutionalized and so that we couldn't be seen and that we couldn't be heard. We need to really change that conversation and allow our voices to be there so they can recognise the value and wisdom in our experiences and the opportunities that we can provide by working together as a community. And really, they also need to keep in mind that none of us choose to be disabled or chronically ill. You could go to bed perfectly well tonight and wake up tomorrow morning with a chronic illness that never ever goes away, and it would fundamentally change your entire world. So rather than shaming us or blaming us or making it hard for us to have accessibility in the world, if we actually work together, they'll see that because we have a chemical reaction as human beings to one another, if we're treating each other with empathy and kindness, that's only going to make their experience of living better because it improves their actual physical being as well as their emotional and mental health as well.
Absolutely.
We're tribal animals. We're supposed to be together in a community.
Which is very well said, and like I say to you all the time, it's great to have you in a studio for that connection. But let's talk about ableism and what exactly it is and why does it erode community well-being, do you think?
Well, ableism is really a form of discrimination, specifically aimed at people that are marginalised, like myself, with disabilities, chronic health conditions and mental health conditions that might be invisible. And ableism exists everywhere. We see it even in current times for example, in Disney movies that equate facial differences with villains, teaching children to discriminate from an early age against people that have a difference.
Totally.
We see it in music, like the ones that have recently been called out by like Lizzo and Beyonce.
Yes.
With ableist slurs. Thankfully they listened, but those sorts of things shouldn't still be happening. But we also see it as well in our government when they don't appoint people with disability to speak for our needs. So we're seeing that sort of ableism running through every kind of industry, every level of society. And the reason why it erodes community well-being is, as I mentioned, we are tribal animals, community-based animals. When we other a group of people for something that there's no fault of their own why they have a chronic illness or a disability. We're only actually making it so that we're living in this tiny little bubble where we're not getting other people's perceptions, we're not getting other people's points of view, and we're not learning from each other. The reason why human beings are so good at being adaptable is because we work best when we are a group. So we have to stop othering, bring them into the fold with us, allow them to see our experience, allow us to have a voice at the table, and then we are all better for it.
Absolutely, well said by you. And just to finish for us, where can people get their hands on the book if they're picking up what you're putting down and they've understood a bit about what you've said today?
Sure, you can obviously get it on Amazon as a Kindle book, or obviously in the hard copy there, but you can also pick it up in places like Booktopia, anywhere online, or head to flicmanning.com and you can grab a copy.
As always, it's wonderful to have you in studio and to connect and catch up, and again, all power to you.
Pleasure, thank you so much.